need to decrease the gain on my new microphone a bit. There we go. That might be a little bit better. Alrighty, so I know it's been a while. And as you can see, new model. Need to go ahead and close that. As you can see, I'm using a 3D model instead of 2D because I don't have money to make. Well, I don't have the money to go ahead and, get all the stuff needed for a 2D model to be made, so I kind of just went with Vroid Studio, made my own temporary one, It's new, it works, and I enjoy it. At least for now, at least, You know how it is. Anyways, so as you can see, new model, I'm obviously still been busy with stuff, mainly work. But yeah, as you can see, I have a whole bunch of games that I'll probably play at some point. So yeah, just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a quick update on that. As you can see, I like my model. I made it. It's not bad. But again, it's not necessarily my own yet, mainly because of the fact that, I'm using stuff that's been pre-made already, want to make it my own at some point. And yes, it's more feminine, but it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. But I really do like, how I did the eyes and such, and I like the little X's. Anyways, let's see, what should I talk about? Well, I guess if I'm gonna do anything, it's gonna be, since I am technically a devil, I'm gonna talk about Devil May Cry, the latest anime adaptation stuff. I respect those that think the anime's not good. It's their own thing, but you can't really call yourself hardcore fans if you think that it's not good. The reason why I say that is because I have been a fan of Devil May Cry since, I think, since I was like 5 or 6, I think? And it was because of Devil May Cry 2 that got me into the series. And in all honesty, it's like, I'll admit, the game story, not bad. I enjoyed the game story. But to say that, the anime's not good because it's not completely faithful to, I don't know, the games. I mean, I get it. I really do. But at the same time, it's like, to me, it's not bad. It's actually really good. Because if you stop and think about it, right? This is what we could have gotten as a series. And I'm not joking either. Like, this is legitimate what we could have got for the games. And I can see that. And I know some people are going to say, oh, well, if, this was the games, then I would have hated it. No, you wouldn't. Let's be honest here. You would not have hated it if this was the games that we got. If this was, like, the game that we got for the start of the series. Like, let's be honest here. If this is what we got instead of what you would not hate this. I just personally hate how people are hating on this show because it's not following the games to a T. Which, I get it. Believe me, I absolutely get it. I am one of those people that want an actual, Resident Evil movie based on the Spencer Mansion and, Raccoon City with the main characters. So, believe me, I get it. It's not fully, faithful to what we have. But in my honest opinion, for something like this, it doesn't need to be 100% faithful because, in all honesty, it's not even bad. And you can actually make the argument that this is what we would actually get as a game if this was what was, shown. Like, and in all honesty, I'll admit, Season 1, 8 out of 10, I know, sacrilege. But the reason why I say it's an 8 out of 10 instead of, like, a 5 is because I feel like it represents the characters well, except for Lady. Lady definitely feels I'll agree with the people that, yeah, Lady definitely needed the overhaul of character that we get in season 2. Because, honestly, season 2 fixes everything with Lady, in my opinion. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I get it. I really do get it. But in all honesty, again, it's like people saying that, oh, this isn't Dante. To be honest, this is a younger Dante that has not experienced everything the same as the game Dante. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's like, I get it, but at the same time, DMC3 Dante, all honesty, kind of was like this. Maybe not the exact same, I'll admit, but it's still not bad. I do not mind how they did Dante in the anime adaptation for Netflix, because, in all honesty, you can see it. He's not, all that far off from what we get in 3. Yeah, there's some changes, but in all honesty, you know what I'm saying? And again, like, he grew up differently. He didn't have the grandma that he did in season 2, who went ahead and trained him, who had made Ebony and Ivory in the first place. Like, literally, she is the one that made it, but yet she wasn't in his life, and she didn't die in his life. Again, it's like, same character, but different life. And, yeah, I get it, it's not what the hardcore fans, quote unquote, wanted. But at the same time, it feels like, you're not actually fans. Like, I get it. Oh, Virgil doesn't sound the same. Well, here's the thing. Virgil's voice actor had a cold when he did Virgil. So, yeah, he's going to sound different, because we know the voice of Virgil. We know the voice of Dante. We know the voice of Lady. We know all this. But in all honesty, season 1, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Mainly because of the fact that it's not bad. It's really not all that bad, as people make it out to me. Season 2, for me, is a 10 out of 10. And in all honesty, the reason why is because they do fix Lady's character, and all the characters feel pretty on point for who they're supposed to be. Arkham feels like he's on point. Itch. There we go. Arkham feels like on point who he's supposed to be. He's a jester, he's a clown, he's supposed to try and be funny. He's supposed to be the court jester of sorts. Virgil, kind of stoic, can kind of be funny at times, In all honesty, that's Virgil. Makes sense. Dante, he's matured and he's grown a little bit as a character. Lady, she's grown a lot from season 1, and in all honesty, I actually do prefer this version of Lady in season 2. Argisax actually feels a lot more credible as a threat, and actually slides in perfectly, because it's like, what do you mean that Mundus had been fighting, Argisax for, all of hell? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, Mundus is basically a god, and there's another supposed demon god. Like, let's be honest here. It didn't work in my opinion. But having him be, like, the original devil, and then Mundus and his, fellow, God, I can't remember, I guess, his fellow, I guess in this case you can call them co-workers, I guess, went ahead and realized that Argisax is, not really all that good. And, dethroning him, again, that just makes sense to me, because, let's be honest here, having Mundus be a follower of Argisax, and then having him go ahead and usurp the throne from him in order to go ahead and have it somewhat become better. I mean, yeah, it's not all that much better, but you know, at least people aren't mindlessly getting killed for their vitality. Anyways, basically, you get the point. Archetypes feels a lot more credible and, you know, actually fits a lot better into the lore for this, in my personal opinion. And then there's Arius. Like, Arius in 2 just kind of didn't even feel like anything, if I'm being honest. Like, he did not feel like a threat at all. But having him be, like, ancient and that he keeps on jumping lifetimes and he uses his past experiences and he actually gets smarter and better and he's capable of actually doing way more, I actually like, you know, like Arius now feels credible. He feels proper. You know, he feels like a true antagonist. And of course, actually getting to see Mundus fight, like outside of Devil May Cry 1, we never see him fight. And in all honesty, like seeing Mundus actually fight instead of what we get in 1, where it's like, you know, kind of, I get it. It's old. It's an old game. I love the game still, but it's an old game. Like they couldn't really do much back then. Pardon me. Anyways, basically, it feels like, you know, Mundus feels more as a competent fighter instead of somebody that's just been sitting on a throne doing nothing. You know, it's like he still has his skills about him. He still knows how to fight. He knows how to do shit. You get the point. And then, of course, I know some people are a little bit against it, but I'm all for the, you know, Dante X lady. Like, in all honesty, I'm all for that. You know, been for it since I've played DMC3. I'm all for it. You know, I know a whole bunch of fans have been wanting this, and like from what I understand from like some comments on like a video showing the scene of Dante and Lady kissing, there are some people who, you know, said that like Trish kind of like you know, hints towards Lady liking Dante, but it's never like outright said. Again, I don't know for sure when this is done. I'm not them. You're gonna have to go and look for them in order to ask them like when this is done, because I don't know. But yeah, in all honesty, I'm all for, you know, Lady and Dante getting together. I'm all for that. I'm all for them having kids in the future, even if they go ahead and, you know, do a season 4, because we know we're getting season 3. But season 4, I'm hoping they do, if they aren't gonna make this the final season. Mainly because of the fact that I do want to see, you know, Lady Dante have kids, and they grow up, you know, to become a devil hunter as well. Now, before people say like, "Oh, you're just wanting Nero," no. I do not want Nero. That would actually ruin what we know of Nero, because with Nero, he doesn't know who his father's lineage is. He doesn't know about, you know, who his father was even. All he knows is that, you know, his dad was kind of a deadbeat, you know, from what he understands. The entire point of Nero is that he doesn't know the, you know, half of his family that comes from his dad. You know, comes from Virgil. He doesn't know who that is. So having Nero be the kid of Lady and Dante would kind of just feel, I guess it just kind of feel lazy to me, because again, we already know who Nero is, and in all honesty, the character that we know him as fits better in this case. So, even if I never get seen, let's be honest, I'm probably never gonna get seen, but, you know, I would recommend different kid. Having a completely new kid if we're gonna go ahead and have Lady and Dante go ahead and actually get together at like the end of 3, and we have like a time skip of a couple years. What would I recommend? In honesty, a daughter. Like, cause there's just not a whole lot of females that fight in the series. Like, yeah, we get Lady, we get Trish, But then past that, I don't really think we get anyone else for like, a female character that fights. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we have, our lovely crafter in, 5, but she's not really fighting. She's more of like in a supporting role. Like, remember in how DMC2 we had Lucia, and then and also in DMC2 we also had Trish. Two females. I just remembered Lucia. But we haven't seen Lucia in God knows how long. Like years. So yeah, in all honesty, like, I get it. If people don't like the ship. My main point stands, though, that I do want to see more of this ship. And I do want to see them actually build on it and hopefully have a daughter. And I hope it's not Nero because, again, lazy writing. I don't know how they'll introduce Virgil with Nero, though. And that's kind of the problem there. Anyways. But yeah, it's like, and of course, I know people are going to ask, if anybody ever sees this, why, a daughter. And I already explained that, but also, what would the name of the daughter be? Not Ava. Like, I'll admit it, like, yeah, it's a nice name. But at the same time, I don't think it would fit, like, the first daughter if they have multiple daughters, multiple kids. I don't think Ava would fit the best. Mainly because of the fact that, yeah, I know that it's supposed to honor his mother, but in all honesty, I think something like Hope personally would fit better. Because she would be the hope for their future, the hope for, their relationship, the hope that, things will be for the better in the next generation, hope for that nothing happens to her. You get what I'm saying? I think Hope would fit perfectly, and then Ava can be like the next name. Or go ahead and go with Lady's mother's name, or mix of both, who knows? But in all honesty, I think Hope would be a better fitting name for this character. Again, that's just my opinion, and that's that. But yeah, overall, I do like the anime. And I know people are going to say, oh, you're not a hardcore fan then. Well, that's not the case. I am a hardcore fan. I've been a fan for, God, like 19 years now, basically. Like 18, 19 years since I first played DMC2 behind my dad's back, of course, because he was the one that was originally playing it, and then I started playing it, and I was actually, just kind of having fun with it. Didn't know what I was doing, obviously, because little kid. But I still had fun. And ever since then, I became obsessed with the games. Mind you, wasn't able to play them until long time later. But still, I had, my stuff. I had my fun. But yeah, it's like... Now, if I were to go ahead and try and compare it to the original anime, I will say they did mess up with 5 because they, blackwashed a character that wasn't supposed to be blackwashed. I know that's gonna get canceled, but in all honesty, it's the truth, because in the anime, I think it's like Morgan or something. It's been a while since I've watched the original anime, but yeah, basically, white guy, blonde. 5, they completely, changed how he looks, to which, yeah, that's not good. That's not a good thing. But, in all honesty, me and, my siblings have all agreed that it's, instead of, like, going off of, like, oh, this is how he's always supposed to look, just have the name be, like, passed down to the next person. Have it be, like, 007, where this person is the one that's trusted to help Dante with getting missions and such, getting, all these sorts of things. Because it's better off that way instead of saying, oh, he was always supposed to be black. Because, the anime would beg to differ. Anyways, but yeah, and honestly, for me, the OG anime is a 10 out of 10. I love it. I watch it again and again from time to time, just because it's good. And then, if I were to go ahead and compare it to, the Netflix adaptation, yeah, it's better. But in all honesty, I'm still gonna say that season 2 is 10 out of 10 for me. Just because, like, the story writing's actually not all that bad. Like, how the story writing for both is not all that bad, it's just, again, with one, they completely neutered Lady's character, and I'm so thankful that, they actually fixed her, in the anime, instead of just, saying, like, oh, all of a sudden, she feels like this. And yes, I get that, some people are gonna point out, well, why did she start feeling bad for the demons in, one? Well, here's the thing, she's never, seen how they lived, for one. Two, she was also under, like, poison, I believe, in the first season, so she finally started, realizing that she may be in the wrong. Still not gonna excuse what happens at the end of, season 1, but regardless of the fact, again, it's overall story writing solid for the Netflix adaptation. Past season 1, all the characters feel pretty on point to me, and I'm all for Dante X Lady. I'm all for it. I know a lot of fans have been wanting it for years now, but, regardless of that fact. Anyways, I hope that, you guys enjoy, seeing my new model, just listening to me rant about, what I think about the Netflix adaptation of the Devil May Cry anime. Just overall, just, coming by, seeing this new video. God, I've been working on a script for No Skin because, I do want to go ahead and actually make a video about that. I have not worked on the script in so long, though. But it isn't all that bad. I do admit that I will need to read it, and, I do have plans, but for now, you know how it is. I just hope that, you guys enjoy that whenever I do get to it, because again, I've been so focused on doing stuff. I do have another video planned at some point for Marvel Ultimate Alliance for PS2, because the PS2 version is what I have, and as you can see, I have a emulator right there, so at least for a fact that I have plans. I just haven't gotten around to doing them yet. Life's been pretty difficult, so and it's been busy. College, work, just overall been busy, so yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I am going back to college again. Even though it's been like a year since I've, been doing it, I am going back to doing college. But yeah, I hope that you like, comment, subscribe. I hope that, you guys can share your feelings on how you feel about the Devil May Cry anime. And I'll respect yours if you respect mine. If you're gonna go ahead and, complain about how my opinion's wrong, well, here's the thing, that's my opinion. I'm allowed to be wrong in your mind. I'm allowed to go ahead and, voice how I feel on things. But if you're gonna go ahead and, come at me saying I'm wrong, I'm not a fan, here's the thing, I can still separate, things and actually see value in things. So, anyways, like, comment, subscribe, have a wonderful day or night, depending on when you watch this. And I hope that you guys, go ahead and stick around for more later on.